what is the hourglass-shaped marketer, and why is that important?
Yeah, I think of it really kind of as a career progression. And I've kind of refined this pitch because right now I have a lot of like people on my team who are in their first 1 to 2 years of marketing, as well as Qualtrics is located super close to BYU University, and our founder is like a huge BYU fan, and one of our founders was a professor. So like Qualtrics and BYU are like super tied together. And so because of that, like all BYU students want to work there. And so I'm constantly been like, hey, can we interview for you for classes and stuff? And then one of the first questions people ask is like, how do I get started in digital marketing? And then like, what does a career look like? So I don't know if Rand invented it, but Rand Fishkin is really the person that I heard talk about the T-shaped marketer, right? And so the concept there is that you have one or two skills or challenges or skills or like areas of expertise that you're really good at. So let's say, for example, for this audience, organic search is like your bread and butter, like you're a professional SEO. That's what you're really good at. If you're really good at that, you're probably going to be adjacent to some other channels. So if you're really high here, if you go one step down here, like analytics is probably next. And then on the other side, maybe it's content marketing or like content development on the other side. And then you take a step out and you're like, well, I kind of know paid search because I'm in the SERPs. And so there's this like T shape of expertise. So as opposed to like, there are a lot of people who are marketing generalists where they're kind of this deep in 10 different subjects. Like Rand talks about being the expert in one subject and knowing a few things about the things around it. And I actually like really grasped onto that early in my career and dove super deep into organic search because of that. Of like, I want to know everything about it. I want to be able to do all aspects of organic search. And then kind of where I've put my spin on it is that I feel like I hit a career ceiling at doing organic search. So like, for example, like director of SEO at in-house companies and agencies is like fairly common. But like Kevin, you're in a super rare role where like, I don't know very many VP of SEO. I literally only know two, and there's more out there, but it's just there's not very many companies that have an SEO challenge so big that requires the size department and the size experience of a vice president. And so I think, I like selfishly, I want to get to like a VP level at some point in my career. And so I see the kind of career progression goes from like, you're a generalist, you got to figure out digital marketing, and then you get really good at like one or two things. And so that's the T-shaped as you come up. And then eventually you hit a point where you either hit a career ceiling or you've been doing good in one area, and your job or the opportunities start to open up that you actually start to go like this as you progress higher in your career. And so I'd say like at Qualtrics, that's kind of what's happened to me. I came in to do organic search. And there was a need for analytics, and I was like, hey, let's implement Google Analytics 360. Let's get some enterprise analytics and be able to trust our data. And I was like, okay, now Jared owns analytics. The next thing was like our editorial calendar needed like a process and a system. It was like, okay, Jared owns content now. And this was, back when marketing was lowest 30 people. We're now up to like 125 people in our marketing department. And so it's a lot of like, set up a program, hand off to somebody else, set up a program, hand off to somebody else. And eventually like analytics led to tag manager led to like general website ownership because you're working with the dev team. And like, as I've gotten more and more senior, my responsibilities have broadened as well as the team. Right. And so now I'm working on like a lot of freemium user acquisition and growth, some in product loops, things like that, where it was close to what I was doing. And there was more or less a need. Like it's very opportunistic, right? If there's an expert in analytics in your company, like you're probably not going to be the analytics guy. But if there's a void and you know a bit about it, you can probably jump in and make an impact right away. And so it's a little bit of like being opportunistic about finding those opportunities, like having those opportunities in your company arise and you jumping on them. And then there's another side, which I'm like pretty passionate about, is making sure you're actively trying to learn the things next to you. So like there's things that like I know I need to learn, like JavaScript. I need to be better at it a little bit for SEO, but actually more for like advanced tag management and things like that to make sure that we can track in the right ways. And so being at like going out and proactively learning JavaScript because I'm like, one day I'm going to need this, and one day there's going to be an opportunity for me to jump on it. Like that's kind of what I love about that whole concept is like being prepared for when the opportunity arises to broaden your scope, basically.